Farm Week is a production of the Mississippi State University Extension Service.
Today on Farm Week, the latest monthly crop report looks for Mississippi to harvest a record corn crop along with record yields for corn, cotton, and rice. In southern gardening, fall salvia. Its color lasts, hummingbirds love it, and deer don't.
Is Texas hummingbird salvia.
In the markets, cow-calf operators may be in the driver's seat for now in the beef sector. While the grain sector gets a big surprise in recent crop reports, John Michael Riley has analysis.
In the feature segment, the bulldog is Mississippi State University's mascot, but its Edam Cheese enjoys celebrity status as well. It's been produced for 75 years on campus, and no one can imagine MSU without it.
I don't think Prof. Herzer had any idea that this was going to be as big as what we have today. He wanted to produce a unique product that was not produced anywhere in the United States, and he was able to do that.
Good day, everyone. I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Artis Ford. Welcome to Farm Week.
When planting ran late this spring in Mississippi, it was feared hot weather would reduce yields.
Leighton, instead, excellent summer weather and fall resulted in record corn crop. It resulted also in record yields for corn, cotton, and rice farmers. It's not the outcome many predicted. Conventional wisdom said that yields would suffer if we had a normal summer, but fortunately we had a cooler than normal summer with rain. U.S. corn crop, 14 billion bushels. That is a record from last year. As we look at Mississippi, also a record, almost 147 million bushels. The yield, another record, two years in a row now, 180 bushels per acre is the average across the state. As we look at cotton, less acreage, so we have less overall cotton. As we look at Mississippi, we see our cotton down there as well. But the yield, 1,090 pounds per acre. That's up 76 pounds from last year. That is a record for Mississippi. As we look at rice, we see that acreage was down, so the overall U.S. crop is down, but U.S. rice farmers did set a yield, record yield on the acreage they did plant, 7,660 pounds per acre. As we look at Mississippi, our overall crop is up 4%, but a record yield in Mississippi as well, 7,500 pounds, which is up 300 pounds from last year, and that surpasses the record set in 2007. So look at soybeans, third largest crop on record, 3.3 billion bushels predicted. In Mississippi, 85.1 million bushels, which is down slightly from last year. Yield stands at 43 bushels per acre, very respectable, off 2 from last year's record. Peanuts down due to less acreage, much less acreage in the United States, 3.9 billion pounds predicted. Here in Mississippi, our acreage down 105.6 million pounds predicted. Yield 3,200 pounds per acre, off 1,200 pounds from last year, so Mississippi peanut farmers did not benefit. Well, are you looking for some long-lasting color in your landscape? In this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman says to consider fall salvia for color that lasts.
Many gardeners think that annual salvia is the most colorful, but perennial salvia deserves a place in your landscape and garden. Today I'm visiting the Salvia Trial Garden at the North Mississippi Research and Extension Center in Verona. It's the fall season, and these perennial salvia are a favorite for insect visitors. Popular perennial salvia for Mississippi gardens and landscapes are the blue varieties, such as Better's Blue. This plant will grow to about 30 inches tall with beautiful flower spikes featuring vibrant deep blue flowers until frost in the fall. One of the showiest is Texas hummingbird salvia. This is a tender perennial, meaning that it may or may not survive from season to season. But all that really means is that you should treat it as an annual where it's not hardy enough to come back year after year. Its deep red flowers having dark bases and stems, are borne on 2 to 2.5 foot open spikes from summer to autumn. As the name suggests, butterflies and hummingbirds love them. There are some other salvia colors available. While nearing the end of their flowering season, the electric blue flowers of blue angel and the snow-white flowered snow nymph still add landscape interest. Now here is a really interesting salvia that loves our hot summers and that's only grown for its foliage. The foliage of silver sage grows in basal rosettes and is a wonderful cool gray seafoam. Based on the leaf size and fuzziness, it's no wonder this plant is also called hobbit's foot salvia. The fall season is a great time to enjoy perennial salvia before the cold temperatures of winter. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman for Southern Gardening.
Gary says that salvias perform best in full sun or at most light shade. They are said to be deer resistant. In the feature segment today, Edam Cheese celebrates 75 years at Mississippi State University. The cannonball has become an MSU symbol, just like the bulldog. Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, you say that we've had a week now to digest the combined October-November USDA crop reports.
Very much anticipated, and the big surprise applied to both corn and soybeans, and that is our lead story in the markets this week. Demand for both of those crops is projected to be much stronger than expected. Meanwhile, rice analysts feel there may be keen competition for long grain, and cattle traders say cow-calf operators are in the driver's seat for now. Yes, it was demand, not production, that grabbed the headlines after that recent crop and supply demand report. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley discussed the new numbers for corn and beans on Tuesday. Well, let's talk about these much anticipated reports from November 8th. Kind of recap the corn situation for us first.
Well, we're still looking at a record crop. Just under 14 billion bushels of corn is expected to be produced. Yield estimate got increased from 155 back in September to 160 is the current estimate for national corn yield. So that's going to result in a bumper crop. The surprise came about with the demand. A lot more use from a feed perspective and from exports. We saw increases there, and that pulled carryover below expectations.
And that was really what caught the market off guard, was that demand turnabout.
That's correct. Harvested acres were reduced a little bit, so production was actually smaller than expected, but because of the increase in demand, that pulled down carryover more than expected, and as a result, we saw a big jump in price that day.
And before we leave corn, as far as Mississippi, a record yield is being projected?
That's correct. 180 bushel current projection for Mississippi yield. That will be a record if it does come to fruition.
All right. What about soybeans? Recap that situation for us.
Not as near a big a surprise as corn, but still we saw harvested acres decreased slightly. Yield was bumped to 43 bushel an acre from a national perspective, and so 3.2 billion bushels projected to be produced for soybeans, carryover of 170, slightly below expectations, similar to corn, and so both of those were sailing that day.
So, and as far as soybeans, with the demand kind of being increased, that kind of neutralized the other side of the report, so to speak.
That's correct. With both these crops, demand was up, and so that's always good news. And you're right, that did neutralize a little bit of the higher production as a result of the larger yield.
But no projected record as far as Mississippi and soybeans.
That's correct. 43 bushel an acre. Record was 45 a couple of years ago. So, or actually, I think it was last year. And so, no record there. But still, we're very close to that record.
And I assume, as far as soybeans leading this demand, is still China, or probably will be China as far as who's buying them.
That's correct. Soybean meal going to China for supplement their livestock production is where a lot of that growth is coming from.
The USDA report added 50 cents on both ends of the average farm price for rice, this according to the publication The Rice Advocate. Analysts there continue to think the long grain crop is short and that there will be some keen competition for rice stocks as the year progresses. Our trivia quiz this week concerns the Mississippi dairy industry. Here is the question for you. What was the top milk producing county in the state in 2012? Is the answer Lincoln County, or Walthall, or Marion, or Marshall? I'll tell you at the end of the markets.
We're going to pause for a short break on Farm Week. Coming up, we'll look at the calendar and the rest of the markets. Leighton Spann reports cattlemen appear to be in the driver's seat regarding feeder cattle prices. In the feature segment today, Edam Cheese. It's a prized gift and it's celebrating its 75th anniversary at Mississippi State University.
Committed? Absolutely. People rely on me. I don't take that lightly. Sure, sometimes we get out of sync and things feel forced. That's when the commitment kicks in. You buckle down, hammer it out, and keep it together for everybody involved. So, yeah, I'm completely committed to my marriage. Till death do us part. Commit to your marriage.
Before we get back to the markets, let's look at the Farm Week calendar. The annual row crop short course takes place at Mississippi State University shortly. This is the place you want to be if you're trying to figure out what you did wrong last year and see how to improve in 2014. It takes place on campus Monday through Wednesday, December 2nd through the 5th. Weed resistance, sensor-based irrigation, and much more are on the agenda. Register by November 29th and it's free. After that, it's $40. We'll have a link to help you sign up. A one-day workshop on managing wild pig damage in Mississippi takes place Thursday, December 5th. The location is the Pontotoc County Extension Office on Hardin Drive in Pontotoc. Please register by Monday, December 2nd. The cost is $20. You'll learn about trapping and removal techniques. You'll also hear about hog diseases and the implications for humans and domestic livestock. We'll have a phone number on our Farm Week calendar. Go to our Farm Week website at farmweek.msucares.com for information on these and other events. Now check out this week's Farm Week Snapshot.
The projections for corn and soybeans in those latest USDA reports certainly has the attention of the livestock sector here in mid-November. Analyst Don Roos thinks the cow-calf operators in the beef sector are in the driver's seat.
A lot of these markets, you know, the feeder cattle and the cattle and even the hogs, so dependent on the grain market because we have a grain risk premium in the market, and if the market starts to go down, maybe we take some of this risk premium out and we change some of these levels. That's a little bit of a danger. But the cow-calf operator, he's in the driver's seat. I mean, we just don't have numbers. We have to rebuild the herd. We're starting to do that. Numbers are going to stay tight. You know, it take a couple of years, 3 years. So I would say 160 on the downside on feeder cattle. You're probably going to see a lot of feedlot interest. You get up around 170, you're probably going to run into some resistance. But feedlots want to keep the capacity pretty full. So that is a good thing to help the feeder cattle.
Before our feature story, let's check the trivia answer for this week. And the correct choice is C. In 2012, Marion County was the top milk producer in the state.
In our feature story today, we honor a product that's closely identified with Mississippi State University. It's a ball of Edam cheese made by the Department of Food Science, Nutrition, and Health Promotion and the Mississippi Agricultural and Forestry Experiment Station. This year, MSU is celebrating 75 years of Edam cheese production. There was a time when the demand far outstripped the supply, and that still happens around Christmas when it's a prized gift. The following video was produced by Brian Utley of the MSU Office of Agricultural Communications. We'll tell you how you can get your Edam cheese after the story.
In 1938, Professor Herzer had gone to a national dairy conference, and he approached his former teacher and he asked him, says, "What can I do to bring honor to Mississippi State?" And his professor told him, "Make the best Edam cheese possible." So Professor Herzer contacted the Vodster brothers in East Holland. He had heard that they had Edam moles, so he ordered 10 moles from them.
I don't think Prof. Herzer had any idea that this was going to be as big as what we have today. He wanted to produce a unique product that was not produced anywhere in the United States, and he was able to do that.
If you look at their careers, the two that had the most impact on it would be Ed Custer and Joe Cardwell. As I said, Prof. Herzer started it, but didn't develop it. Custer was the business person. He was the plant manager type, the business production supervisor, that type quality control supervisor. Whereas Joe Cardwell, Dr. Cardwell, was a cheese person. That was his specialty. He taught the making of the cheese, how it was made, following the correct procedures, seeing that it was done correctly. Mule Folsom was the one that was making the cheese, but those two were the ones that were directing it. He and Cardwell knew what was going on.
Whenever I introduce myself to somebody, I always tell them my name is Henry Folsom, better known as Mule. And the reason I got into the cheese making is because of Tom Owsley. He taught me into coming out here and then taught me how to make the cheese. And did it the rest of my life, you might say.
He was the head cheesemaker. I guess Mule he was in charge of it he was the cheesemaker in '63, and he was a cheesemaker in '86 when I left the first time. He knew what to do at the end of an hour. If the acidity wasn't where it was supposed to be, he knew what to do to get it there. You didn't go into the next step. Anybody can make cheese, but a cheesemaker knows what to do at each one of these steps so that 6 months from now or 9 months from now, you're going to have the product you want. At the time, they were making 2 bats a day, probably about 40 to 50 Edams at a time. So we had a very limited production, and it was during those times, it was very, very status quo to get on the list to be able to buy your cheese. Not everybody could get it. A lot of people didn't stand a chance of getting it.
People would come in just begging and carrying on for the cheese, you know. And we'd have to hold it on order. The ones that had orders would hold it till the 15th of December. And if anybody hadn't come by to pick it up by that time, we'd let it first come, first serve. And the 15th, that morning, there'd be people standing in line at the door.
This is a story that goes back when they only had a very limited amount of cheese, and you literally had to get your name on the list. Tom Owsley, who was the manager at that time, was out of town, and he told Mule, said, now, if anybody called over here and wants some cheese, if they don't have an order,
nobody gets any cheese. I don't care who they are. They don't get any cheese if they're not on this list. And along almost quitting time, about late in the evening, I got a phone call. The fellow says, I need a ball of cheese. And I said, have you got an order? And he says, no, I don't have an order.
He didn't know who he was talking to. He said, well, if you ain't got no order, you ain't got no cheese. So.
He says, I know there's some strings somewhere that I can pull to get me a ball of cheese. And I said, yes, sir, I don't doubt that, but there's none of them tied to me. And he got mad, Lord, he got mad. He said, I'm T.K. Martin, one of the deans. I didn't know who he was. You know, I didn't know T.K. Martin from nobody. But I couldn't help him because I had my orders and I was going to follow them, you know.
If we were sold out and they couldn't get an order that, you know, they had a mother that was dying and that's all she wanted was the Edam cheese. And some of it probably was correct, but you could, you know, catch on sometime when they were kind of fibbing a little bit. But, and we had some who would get a divorce that had permanent orders. Those cheese orders was part of the divorce agreement, who got their cheese order.
When we moved from the University Florist location over to Herzer back in the 70s, well, we were able to expand production. It seems like the more we produced through the years, the greater the demand has been.
We've been able to use the profit from the university cheese operation to upgrade facilities, to support scholarships, to support a lot of public relations activities. And I guess the cowbell is now the symbol, but the cheese will continue to be a symbol for years to come.
we're very proud of what we're doing and the quality of the product and the huge popularity. We sell our cheese products to all 50 states. And so many people come from all over this state just to get a ball of cheese or one of the many cheese items that we have here.
People that like Mississippi State like products that come from Mississippi State. It's made from the milk that we produce on our own dairy farm, and we think we have expertise in production of this product.
If it were not for the fact that the Edam was the round ball with the red wax and the MSU seal on it, it has a visual impact as well as a culinary impact, and it's just become part of the university.
That's known the world over. We mailed it out. We mailed some to England, Canada, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and people, they loved it. I don't care where they were, and you could call it would, even if it had been $100 a ball, people would still come in wanting it, you know.
The Edam cheese stands for and above any other cheese made anywhere because of the quality of the products that go into the cheese and the love and care that the students have had in learning to make the Edam cheese and to do everything that they need to do to make it a super quality.
We didn't advertise in the papers or, you know, any kind of brochures or anything like that. So it was just word of mouth, really. And people sending people cheese, and then they would turn around and place orders. So that's how it really got spread throughout, you know, the United States.
There's not many places you can't go and ask if they know what an Edam cheese is, and that they will tell you yes they do, and they want it. And I used to tell the people as they said, well, I get those for gifts, and I said, well, the only problem with that is once you give it, they want it, you've got to start giving it to them on a regular basis.
It's a symbol of Mississippi State, and it's not, you know, it's way up there. It gets a lot of publicity for them, and people are aware of it all over the country, and students, they're exposed to this stuff while they're in school, and it's a pride thing that, you know, it makes you proud of what you're representing and the university that you're representing, and the product that you have pleases, you know, that many people.
Our children have seldom ever called this just the Edam cheese. They always would say this is Daddy's cheese or this is Granddaddy's cheese. And as our grandchildren have grown up, and they've always been taken over to the cheese shop, and they know to look up, and that's Granddaddy's name up there. And also there are other things in there relevant to Joe and his teaching here for such a long time.
I love this thing. I could, my family and everything that I've got and everything I've had is caused from that ball right there.
It's who we are at Mississippi State University, and 75 years of production of Edam cheese is an event that is an opportunity for us to celebrate this production, and it's an opportunity for us to say thank you to a lot of people in the past that have made this possible.
Happy 75th anniversary for Edam cheese.
I'd like to wish the Mississippi State Edam cheese operation a very, very happy 75-year anniversary.
Happy 75th anniversary, Edam cheese. I'm so proud to be a part of it.
I want to wish you a happy 75th, and I hope you have another 75 after this, and I'm sure you will. It's been part of my life, and always will be.
I'm Leota Cardwell, and I wish MSU Edam Cheese a happy 75th birthday.
And go to our Farm Week website, Facebook page, or YouTube if you'd like to see this story again on Mississippi State University's Edam Cheese. We'll also have the telephone number where you can order or send Edam cheese or any other product offered by the Memphis Sales Store. You can order online at msucheese.com. The public is welcome to shop at the Memphis Sales Store on campus in Starkville from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's located just a short walk from the south end of the football stadium. It's also open on Saturdays and Sunday mornings on home football game weekends. Well, we are at the end of Farm Week for this week. On our next show, peanuts have become a serious row crop in Mississippi.
Don Self of Hamilton was one of the early growers. He rotates them with cotton and corn. This lets him build up his soil while avoiding disease.
In Southern Gardening, fall color, there are bedding plants that can catch a second wind late in the year. For the rest of the Farm Week crew, I'm Artis Ford.
And I'm Leighton Spann. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.